All right, guys, we've got another flanker in the Hugo Boss Bottled collection of fragrances. It's called Boss Bottled Beyond. Comes about 6 months after Bold Citrus and a year after Boss Bottled Absolu, which is my favorite, by the way. We also have Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir, Boss Bottled Elixir. We're going to talk about this new fragrance, Boss Bottled Beyond, a 2025 launch. It's actually Firmenich perfumers, just like Boss Bottled Bold Citrus was also Firmenich perfumers. But prior to that, we had Simrise perfumers, Annick Minardo and Suzy Lahelle. And Annick Minardo is the woman that did the first Boss Bottle. But I'm excited to get my nose on Boss Bottled Beyond. I've been happy with all of the launches, all of the 4 last launches. I wasn't happy or a fan of the Eau de Parfum, or the Parfum, I should say. There's been so many flankers I'm forgetting. But the Elixir and the Absolu are really great. The Triumph Elixir is also good. The Bold Citrus is fresh and I think a very easy to wear fragrance. So I'm kind of excited for this one as well. But this fragrance is done by 3 perfumers: Bruno Jovanovic, Frank Voelkl, Daphne Bugey of Firmenich. If you've gotten your nose on this, let me know your thoughts. I haven't got my nose on it. I'm very, very excited. It looks like we're going into a completely different direction. I'm hoping we are doing something really great with this. I don't think they're going to be as good as the Absolu or the Elixir, especially since this is also an Eau de Parfum. But who knows? Maybe it's going to be great. Are we still in the same DNA of the original Boss Bottled from almost 30 years ago? I think it launched in 96. It could be 97. But we've had so many flankers of this collection of fragrances. And I'm happy once again that they have a new flanker. But here's the packaging. It's kind of a different direction. They also have this little tassel-like thingy on the bottle now. They don't have it in the older bottles. And the older bottles, up until the last one, had a nice big boss written on it. And the last one, the Bold Citrus, just black. So let's open this one. Again, this is Eau de Parfum concentration. It's a refillable bottle. Shows the refillable look in the back. And here's that thing I was talking about. But this is the bottle. Yep, it's a refillable bottle. So this is 100 ml for $155. Again, if you've gotten your nose on it, do let me know what your thoughts are. It features 3 notes that they're crediting: leather, ginger, and saffron. Saffron, many fragrances have saffron. It's the ginger I was most excited about. This is, I believe, in the end, a leather fragrance because the saffron, accentuates the leather in a fragrance. And so basically ginger kind of takes on a maybe citrusy role, but it's more of a zingy spice, very fresh spice. So it makes for a very fresh experience. But leather, there's a lot of leather fragrances out there on the market. Some good, some not. From the designer world, they're not as great as in the niche world, obviously. But of course, Tom Ford has ombre leather, Tuscan leather. So let's see what this one's all about. I can't wait. But just before I do that, look at the cap now. So has the brand rebranded with their logo and stuff, even on the sprayer? I'm hoping this is a fresh gingery leather, especially since it has ginger as a note. Okay. Boy. Am I underwhelmed or what? Okay, so some thoughts. We went back to Eau de Parfum rather than a Parfum and an Elixir. So this is a totally different DNA, totally different fragrance, also totally different perfumers. So these perfumers are from Firmenich. They have access to their own proprietary ingredients, then that's what they're going to use. Whereas Annick Minardo and Suzy Lahelle worked at Simrise and they had access to a different kind of notes. But I wish the ginger was a bit more like the ginger in Tigar or something in that vein. It seems very fresh, but dark and muted. Okay. Not sure about this one. Let's put it on skin. I'm going to put it on both of my hands here. I'm hoping it smells a bit better because it's not exciting at all on the strip. So it's not as dark and muted on the skin as it is on the strip. I guess I get a little bit more of that Tigar-like gingery quality, but I'm not saying this smells like Tigar. Don't go in thinking that. It's a bit zingier is what I'm saying. So after what they've given us, two awesome fragrances, Boss Bottled Absolute, which is my favorite, then followed by the Elixir. I thought they would stop at those, but they didn't. Now they've given us something completely different with new perfumers. Again, it's not a bad fragrance. It's not exciting me. It's also $155 for 100 ml, not 270 something for 100 ml with the new Chanel. So that's also good. It's also smelling better than the new Paradigm by Prada. I would say I like it, just not as exciting as the previous releases. But it also is a bit more simplistic. It's not necessarily... You know, it's not a wow, okay? Even though it's a leather fragrance, this is more like a, and I don't want to use the word dumb reach because it's a leather, but since it's easier to wear, it can be something that you just grab, spritz on, and go right away. Sure, it's going to get deeper as it's drying down. It's going to get darker, leathery for sure, and smoky. But that ginger is adding this freshness that I think will make for an easier experience, because by the time you get to the dry down, that's when it's going to intensify with the leathery qualities, but it's not going to be as loud as it is when you first spray it. And I'm not saying this fragrance is super loud. There's something subtle about it. It's not a screamer. It's not loud. I'm not saying it's wimpy. It just doesn't have those kind of projecting qualities like the Absolu and the Elixir had. I kind of like it. It's easy to wear, just on the dark and muted side and smoky side. It's not fresh, but there's a lot of freshness. I should say it's not fresh like a freshie like Aventus or something like that would be, but there's a lot of freshness here. And behind the freshness, there's some depth because it is in the end leather. So it's acting woody, leathery, smoky, spicy. It's interesting also when I sprayed it on skin, it took a while for it to develop, but the ginger on here is actually smelling really nice. Not identical to what I get from Tigar, but slight reminder of that kind of a zing with the ginger. Okay. I think we've had a couple of wows from Boss. Maybe they were looking for something that's not so wow. And I'm also not understanding what happened. Did they dump Anique Minardo? If they went with a new firm because they, they gave him a better brief for the fragrance, or no, I should say the brand is giving the perfumers the brief. The perfumers are giving them better executions, because that's usually what happens. I do have to say also, this is drying down to be a bit more generic. It doesn't have the wow factor, sadly. I think, again, it's a easy to wear, darker, leathery fragrance, but this won't have the excitement level of the other fragrances that have launched so far. Let's compare the other four fragrances. I think I'm gonna skip the Boss Bottled Citrus because I thought I was under the impression that it was a limited edition. What I really want to talk about are the Absolu and the Elixir, because those are what really got the brand to be very exciting again. Those two were really nicely done fragrances. And the Absolu has a lot of patchouli, which is really, really awesome for me. It's ambery, spicy, but it has a lot of patchouli. Let's quickly smell them next to... Ooh, I love that. It's so good. See, when I go from the Absolu to the Beyond, the Beyond smells super generic. Let's try the Elixir as well. With the Elixir, I do get a bit of a Middle Eastern touch with it. The way it's composed. It's super spicy and smoky incensey. And even though we got that smoky incensey quality in the Absolu as well, it also has a bit of a Middle Eastern touch for sure. Spicy, dark, resinous, but sexy because it has that patchouli. That patchouli in the Absolu is amazing. And really great quality offerings from Designer World that actually rivals some niche offerings in the niche world, because what I liked about the fragrances, the Boss Bottled Absolu and the Boss Bottled Elixir, is that they're completely unique next to a lot of designer fragrances. And with the launch of the Beyond, it's no longer unique. It's got a bit of a generic quality about it, sadly. Maybe the Boss Bottled Absolu and Boss Bottled Elixir were not big performers when it comes to sales, but it was loved by a lot of folks who like more quality offerings from designers. What are your thoughts on that? Because I consider them two of the best designer for men offerings. There's not a lot of, I mean, for me, they remind me of fragrances that I would pay a lot more in the niche world. So they were really, really quality offerings. With the Boss Bottled Beyond, though, it seems just like another generic offering, which there's a lot of out there that I don't need another one. It doesn't stand out from the crowd. It blends in. And maybe that's what Hugo Boss was looking for. Right now, the leather is coming through on skin, and I'm getting a bit of a slight metallic quality. It's got a crispness. I don't know what to say besides what I've already said. It's a bit of a dud. I like it, but I will forget about it and not come back to it, unfortunately. But how many times have I featured the Absolute in videos? Many, many times. But the Beyond, I don't think I will ever feature it. It's not that good of a release. Another dud. It's not as bad as some other fragrances. And going back to the Chanel guys, I spoke about that a couple of times. And a lot of you thought that I was really mad at Chanel because of what happened, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't. I thought it was a pretty decent offering. It's just the price. That fragrance is $270+. With tax, it's $300. This is $155. Same with these two. I believe they're around the $155 price range. I much prefer the Boss Bottled Absolute over the Chanel, Bleu de Chanel L'Exclusive. But it's a bit of a dud here with the Boss Bottled Beyond, and I'm a little disappointed at this release. Not as bad as other fragrances, but also not as good as other fragrances. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. Do add a comment below. Let's go ahead and give it a whiff a little bit more. So this doesn't have a lot of sweetness, obviously, and the leather is slowly coming through. I wouldn't call this a super leather fragrance. I don't think this is about the leather. It's more about the spices and the freshness. I mean, eventually it's developed through. It's also gotten smoky. Smoky, dark, muted. There's a zing, but the zing is kind of worn off from the ginger. I first thought it was going to be decent, knowing that it was kind of dark and muted and a bit subdued. But as the fragrance wears on me, I like it less and less. It becomes more and more generic. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like a fragrance, by all means, wear it. But I feel like Boss can give us some really, really great winners. They've given us a very mediocre offering. Those are my thoughts. I'll report back on this a little more, and after I finished testing it out here, wearing it, I'll come back and tell you a bit more about this fragrance. But as of now, this probably will not be spoken about again on the channel. Maybe in a rank list of men's designer fragrances, but where will it end up? Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Click that bell icon and also give a thumbs up for this video to help with the algorithm. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I wanted to update you a little bit about how Boss Bottled Beyond wears on my skin. So I've had it on about 2.5 hours right now. And when I was testing it out on camera, it was a bit sharp and metallic. And now that I've been wearing it on my hands for about 2.5 hours, I've been constantly smelling my hands. And eventually it started getting softer. It was pretty metallic. It was pretty sharp. But eventually it's gotten softer, and it also kind of sweetened up a little bit as well. Not that I'm saying it's better than it was before. I think it's an enjoyable wear. I think it's not getting as leathery as I thought it was going to be, but it's kind of like a fusion of this almost citrusy ginger, which has a bit of a spice and a kick and a zing, with something acting leathery, but not quite going to the leathery side. And it's pretty much a fusion of the two. I feel like this is kind of a similar idea to something like Aventus. It's got this uber fresh spiciness, not much fruitiness, but a leather accord in the base that doesn't really go too leathery. But it is quite sharp up front when you first spray it. Ginger was a bit lacking, then it intensified a bit, and then it kind of became a combo of the freshness, the spiciness, the zinginess with that kind of a leather accord that's in here. That, to me, the wearing experience is a bit like something in the vein of not necessarily Aventus or something like Mont Blanc's Explorer, less fruity, a bit more subdued, but a similar wearing idea, like similar wearing experience is what I get. So in the end, I don't find it to be too interesting. It's a bit boring, but I think this might be pretty satisfactory to some folks who don't want too much happening, because as I was smelling my hands over and over again, it's pretty much the same thing. It kind of is a bit linear to me. Like, it wears a bit linear. It doesn't do much changes except sharp metallic. It did sweeten up eventually a little bit. It was smoky along the way, but not like something that's super birch tar kind of smokiness. But eventually it kind of blended in together to be kind of a nondescript fragrance that I think is quite boring after really awesome offerings like Absolute and Elixir. This one's just a bit on the dud side. But maybe some of you are enjoying it. Maybe you like it. Let me know your thoughts. Do add a comment below. What do you think about Boss Bottled Beyond? Is it as good as Boss Bottled Absolute? Is it as good as Boss Bottled Elixir? Does it satisfy you? Did you buy it because you smelled it and you really loved it? Do add a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think about this offering? And do you think it's going to be as hyped as the previous two Elixir and Absolute concentrations of Boss Bottled? And also let me know, why do you think they switched perfumers? What was wrong with what Annick Menardo and Suzy Laheli were doing with the previous offerings? Now remember, the Parfum I didn't care for. Boss Bottled Parfum I hated. But once the Elixir launched, I thought, wow, this is so good. It's on another level for a men's designer. Then the Absolute launch, and I thought the same thing. Wow, this is so good. But now we have this, which is just okay. Anyway, do add a comment, let me know, and see you guys later. Bye-bye.